Welcome to Aerotech's Automation 1 Motion Control Platform educational series. Aerotech is a company that solves your toughest precision motion and automation challenges. Automation 1 is a motion control platform consisting of software-based controls and development tools, PC and drive-based control hardware, and hardware-based drives for servo motors and other devices. In this video, we will take a look at converting AeroBasic programs from A3200 to AeroScript programs for Automation 1. My name is Chris Charlesworth, and I am the European Control Systems Engineer for Aerotech. Let's start by taking a look at where the automatic converter is and all of the advice we have on converting AeroBasic into AeroScript. So, I'm inside Automation 1 Studio, and we're going to go to the help file. So we'll open the right hand sidebar, we'll go to the help option, and then in this case we're going to hit view in browser. Now I'll just bring this across so you can all see it. So here we are, this is the help file, this is the onboard help. It's also available from our online help. Now on the left hand side we have a section called Software Migration from A3200 to Automation 1. And when we open that, we have a series of subsections. In this video, we're going to take a look at converting your AeroBasic programs. And in here, it gives you some advice and guidance on how best to do this. In general, there are going to be really two options of how to do this. There's the just write the whole program again in AeroScript. And we also have an automated conversion tool. This conversion tool is very good. It will convert a lot of lines of AeroBasic code into AeroScript. Now you can see here there's a set of instructions on what you have to do, and in this video we are going to take a walk through it. You can see here you begin by downloading the zip file that holds the software for doing this. You can see it's downloaded. And now we'll switch onto a different screen and we'll show you how this works. So here we are. I've already taken the zip file and extracted the files from it. I have also prepared two files. Now there are two ways to apply this. We're going to use the PowerShell option as listed inside of the help file. So just to make it easy, I'm going to have the help file open on half of the screen. Now, if we scroll down, we have two options. We can either use Command Prompt or PowerShell. Personally, I prefer PowerShell because it's a little bit quicker. I'm going to click into this space. We can see I have example PGM as the program file, the actual AeroBasic file, and we also have PRMA. That is the parameter file for the program I'm going to convert. Now, you can convert programs without the parameter file, but you will get more errors. And that's because our converter will take a look at the parameters, the axis names, that sort of thing, and then be able to apply them when it does the conversion. So if you've changed the axis names for any reason, the parameter file will tell the converter this, and then you'll reduce the number of errors. What I'm going to do here is do this twice. So you'll see once with the parameter file and once without the parameter file. If you're doing this without a parameter file, there is also a quicker way to do it. In my experience at Aerotech, I've done this both ways for customers, so I know that both work. So I'm going to hold down the Shift key, and then I'm going to right click inside the folder space, and I'm going to open PowerShell window here. Here we are. This is the PowerShell window. You can see it has opened inside of this space. And now what we're going to do is add the PowerShell line that you can see. I'm just going to manually type this in. So AeroBasic to script.exe. This basically just means run this program. We're going to pass the program file to it, which in this case is example pgm.bgm. That's in quotation marks. We're going to put the -p in there. We're going to do example PRMA. So there we go. We'll just quickly double check the file names and we'll hit enter. So you can see inside of my folder I've now got a couple of extra files. I have an AeroScript file and I have a log file. The log file is very useful. It lists out all of the lines of code which could not be converted. So you can see here it's a series of PSO commands, and that's because there's no direct one-to-one conversion. And then we'll open up the AeroScript file. In this particular case, I'm going to open in Notepad++. It's a personal preference really, any text manager will do. And so you can see here, error unconvertible has appeared in some of the pages. So you can see what the issue is with those inside the log file, but you can see that all of the different line items here have converted over, and you can see the C, the TT, the RR, and the Z have all converted. Now in a moment I'm going to do this again, but without putting the parameter file in, and you'll see some of these lines will not convert at that point. So you can then see that a series of G-code lines have all been ported straight over. It is as easy as that to do the starting. Now let's just take the example PGM and rename it. We'll put a 2 on there. That's purely so I can see the extra files. Now I could go into PowerShell and just not specify the parameter file, but in this case I'm just going to drag and then drop over the converter exe, and then that will run, and you can see immediately I've got an extra set. Now if I bring this over, I have more errors. So let's take a look at them. So if I edit with Notepad++ again, just to make this easy for everybody, I'll send it into the other view so that you can see the two files side by side. And what you can see here is some extra error unconvertibles on lines 19 and 20. Now that is because it hasn't recognized the axis names properly, so it can't convert them. Now in this program that's not a real game ender, it's only a few lines that could be quite quickly rewritten. But in for a much more complicated program, for instance, then it may well be causing a much bigger issue. But the important thing is, even if you don't have the parameter file, you can still convert code. You can see here as well the error unconvertible hasn't been able to convert the G-code commands as well. And that's purely because it doesn't know the axis names and doesn't recognize them. Admittedly, in Automation 1, the G-code just comes straight across because it's just G-code, and G-code is native to Automation 1 as it was in A3200. So now we've done that, we should probably have a look and see if we can hand finish this code. To do that, we will just close this file. We'll now need to go into Automation 1 and import it, and then we'll need to work in both Automation 1 and have the original file open for reference so that we can convert the code across. So let's just minimize these out of the way. Now first things first, we go to controller files, and then we will need to upload those files into the Automation 1 file system. So we just press upload files and folders, and then we wait, and then we can navigate to where we've stored those files. Now in this case I'm feeling a bit lazy, so what we're going to do is copy the address into this box here, and then it will jump us straight to it, and we're going to take the first one, the example PGM. Now we'll go to the develop workspace and we'll open the file. So we open that up, we can see the error unconvertibles that are here. There aren't too many of them, and we know that they're all the PSO functions. We can also see there are other ones in here as well. Now I haven't converted the parameter file and put it into this system. That's been taken care of in a separate video, but if I had done that, you would see that the RR and the TT would be highlighted correctly. let us take a look at how we're going to convert these lines of code. First off, we will open up the original PGM file. And then we can take a look at what the original code was. In this particular case, it's PSO reset, PSO control stuff. Now, the best way to approach doing these things at this point is to have access to the A3200 help file at the same time as the Automation 1 help file. That way you can check the definitions of functions in A3200 and then compare that against the new functions inside of Automation 1. In this case, I already know what some of these are, so we're going to sort of skip out the A3200 step. Now, best thing to do, go back into the help file. In this particular case, I'm just going to type in PSO. I know they're all PSO commands, so let's go to PSO functions. And we know that the first one is PSO reset. Now, that's what's happening here. PSO control reset. It's very, very simple lines, so what we can do is add those straight in. What I'm actually going to do, just to make this a little easier for everybody, is bring in the original code, and then directly below it I will put the new versions of that. So I've typed in PSO reset, and then it's just a matter of naming the axis that needs to be reset. So you can see that's just C, and we're going to do this a few more times. So it'll be RR, PSO reset Z, and then PSO reset TT. So those are the direct translations of that code, and then we'll just edit out that section there. So we scroll down again and we've got this PSO configuration. This particular case, it's a spindle axis that we're controlling, so there's a few different elements to what we're going to do. Okay, so I've already copied across, in this particular case, the old code that was present in the file, and I have already checked what the new code will be. Now, this is the primary reason you can't convert PSO functions, is because we've reorganized that particular function. So things like the pulse command are now integrated into other features, in this particular case the waveform mode. Now, it took me maybe 15 minutes in this particular case just to go through these lines and make sure they were all done correctly. As we say, we're trying to make this as easy as possible. So this is a one-to-one conversion of these commands. The first thing is a reset, so we've got the reset in here again. The next line here is configuring the PSO output. In this particular case, it's a lot simpler. And because we're now using the modern enum features that you find in AeroScript, just like other modern languages, it's also a lot easier to understand the code that's been written. We've then got to set the input, so you can see configure inputs, it's the same line. And then we're setting up fixed distance firing. So again, it's now configure fixed distance, it's all worded. Does mean the command's a bit longer, but with the intelligent autocomplete, it's no bother really. And then we have the pulse output set. Now, this did take me a couple of minutes to find out. I opened up the A3200 help file, realized it was the pulse, then looked inside the PSO for the same thing. So let me show you how to do that. You can see here we've got various different parts of the PSO functions, the reset, the distance, the window, the laser. How did I know it was going to be the waveform? Well, in this particular case, PSO waveform module can be configured in 3 different modes: pulse, PWM, and toggle. So what I did first, I just went Control F and typed in pulse, and then went right, okay, oh there it is, it's waveform. Okay, so we'll go to the waveform functions page, and we can see here what happens. It sends out a configurable pulse stream on each event. which matches with what the A3200 stated as well. So then you can see the pulse is set, total time in microseconds, on time in microseconds, and the pulse count. And what you will find is we've got the total time as 40 microseconds on the original, 20 microseconds on with a 1 cycle. So that's the count. So it's nice and simple, and it does map across. So the values haven't changed, it's just the command that's changed. Now you can see here inside the configure pulse, we've actually got them all down as separate items, which is why we've had to add in a couple of extra lines of code here. We've got, okay, configure it for pulse mode, then we set the total time, we set the on time, and then we set the count. And then finally, we have to set the output source, which in this case is the waveform module. Just so you understand what I mean about waveform module, if we open up the PSO block diagram, this is the internal block diagram for how PSO works. What you have are different modules, and each one of these has a different set of commands. There are some generic commands, then you have the specific, effectively, PSO blocks that can be programmed. So we start with, we'll set up a distance event, then we've specified the types of event we're dealing with, then we've configured the waveform, and we've configured the output. We also configured the inputs to each of these. That way, it's all fairly simple to do, really. It's a process to follow. There's no new code generation really here as such, it's just that conversion. That should give you an idea of how to do the conversion, and most importantly the hand finishing that can be involved. That concludes this motion control platform educational video. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed learning about converting AeroBasic to AeroScript. For more information about AeroScript, please watch our other videos that are dedicated to the subject.